Hello and welcome to the Glow Up Method, where we take our toughest moments and transform them into opportunities for growth, healing, empowerment. My name is Natasha, and I'm so excited that you are here with me today. I understand out of everything you could be doing right now, out of everything you could be watching, you're sitting here with me, and I love that, and I love you, and I really, really appreciate that. I'm feeling like we're on the cricket side here. That's okay. So yeah, as I've been really candid about everything on this channel here, I'll give you the quick version of it. Is less than a month ago, my husband and I had been through 3 different couples therapists. We had done our own individual therapies, are still actually in individual therapies of our own. And, for whatever reasons, we were not making it. We were not thriving. And we both recognize that. And we both, I guess we're just not doing enough of the work to make it, period. And so we were kind of like separated, right? But like nothing was ever done. Like, I don't know. I think that for me personally, I'm just a believer in fairy tales. I'm a very like practical person, but I'm just a believer in like that, like everything can happen and it's gonna work out. And as much as I would like say like, oh, we're separated or things like that, like I would try to believe in that. Like I really held hope deep down that we would work. And that's the reason why I didn't just go run out and get paperwork or ever kick him out and all those things. And because I really, really, really wanted to keep my family intact. It was a top priority for me. Although it didn't always seem like it, right? Because I didn't always act like it. And I can understand why we were in the situation we're in. Like I'm not like thinking I'm innocent. The way it transpired was just really hurtful, and I feel really betrayed, and I actually feel really blindsided. And I didn't anticipate that if this time ever came, that it would have happened the way it did. I've talked about this before. I wanted it in a pretty little bow and a pretty little package, and it's definitely not that. It is messy. It is not even wrapped. And from my perspective, it's like he has picked up, he has left, he has abandoned the family, and he's living his best single life out there. He gets to go out to dinners and dates, and his life is filled with new people and new community, and we're kind of left behind. And not only that, like I have been cut off financially, my kids have been cut off financially. There isn't any help here. There isn't any help with like a dinner, a grocery shopping, let me take them out for this. There's been nothing. And so I feel like the weight of the world is on my shoulders. It's like suddenly you have to do everything, and not just for yourself. First off, you have your own emotions and things that are fluttering and panics and anxieties and oh my God, everything is on me right now. And I just want to dance, and I'm in pain, and I'm in a flu, and I have pneumonia, and I have this, and I have to steer the ship, and I'm not ready. And I don't want to do this alone. I never did. And so I have to breathe, right? Because there's no freaking choice. I mean, there is a choice, right? There is a choice. I could just get up and leave, right? That's just not a choice for me. That does not align with my identity. That is not who I am. And so it's really tough because I feel this weight of the world on my shoulders, and I feel like a part of my spirit is broken. Like it's broken. It's just gone. I'm again back to this shell of who I am. And now I know I'm in there, but it's like she only can come out every once in a while. And the weight of everything else is kind of bearing her deep inside again. And even, tonight I ended up going to the gym. And I've been having to like strategically plan out which days I can go to the gym, because either he won't pick up Tyler or take him to his practices as promised. And so I have to do it. Or I have to be responsible, and I can't afford the gas to get all the way back there and back. And that's like heartbreaking, right? Like, this is my one thing to fuel my tank. And I have to be really realistic about the fact that, like, I have limited funds and there's nobody coming to save me and there's nobody coming to save my kids. It's just the five of us. And it's really, really just upsetting because there isn't a place in my mind or my world that I would do this. And so I can't fathom it. I can't understand it. And, you know, again, going back to like the justice thing I talked about a few days ago, like, I want justice. And I know nobody wins in this situation. And, you know, I had to have a conversation with somebody and I was like, and what are the consequences? Like, as I'm sitting here trying to figure out bills, trying to do all these things, he literally kicked me out of the freaking heater yesterday. It was cold in our house. I have the flu. My son has the flu. There's pneumonia. And we cannot control our own heating and cooling device in the house. He would not respond to me. And I was about to lose it. Like, I was like, this is just a cruel and unusual punishment because everything of our devices are all connected electronically, and he was the primary on all these things. So he just goes in and kicks me out whenever he chooses and doesn't communicate that to me. And I have no way to physically get our heat on. And I just felt so helpless and angry and mad. And I literally was flipping off the sky. I was like, oh my gosh, like, why? For whatever reason, he wants to punish me. And I can't even say I get it, but I get it. But why are you messing with your kids? Why are you having them sit in a freaking freezing cold house in the middle of winter and no access to heat? Like, it just was like a next level of cruelty. And this morning he did say he was asleep. And we got that resolved. I can now monitor and control my heater. He still has access, but I do too. And that's all I care at this point. We will get to the next level soon where it is just me and the kids controlling the house in which me and the kids live in. So it's so infuriating because as I'm sitting here worrying, it's just, you know, I was up till 4 a.m. working, doing things, planning, you know, working out my thoughts about this situation of not having a heater, bundled under 5 blankets. And I just feel like a part of my spirit is broken. And what broke it even more today was when a woman came up and she's like, I had 2 women come up, and you know, like before, I would always be like, they're like, you're so happy, you have the best energy, I love watching you. And everybody comes up, you're so quiet, we don't hear you, where you've been, like, we miss you. And I just, like, I miss me. I'm in this cycle of just having to maintain and like survive. There isn't time to thrive. And it's just gut-wrenching because it took me so long and so hard to allow that version of me to come out. And right when she was like there, and just, you know, like, I read a comment today from one of my favorite fans, and she was like, you are just shining, like, you are glowing, you are something like radiating. And I'm like, I just wanted to be, I miss that version of me. And even when I watch it back, I'm like, where is she? And it's so hard for me as someone who really prides himself on all that work to sit here in this chair and push record in this state, because I don't want to be in this state and I don't want to share this state, but I also do want to be authentic. And I want you to know that no matter what you're going through, no matter what you're blindsided with, like, we will get through this together. Like, you're not alone. I'm not alone. You're here with me. And that gives me some peace, and that gives me some solitude. And like, knowing where I was gives me hope because I know I will get there again soon. It's just a process. It's going to take time. So yes, tonight he may be out on a date and maybe out at a beach and having a great time. And I may be home here with the kids with the weight on my shoulder. But at the end of the day, they're the ones who are coming up to me and having conversations. I'm the one who's coming up to there and having conversations. I've had thorough, long conversations in the last 24 hours with all 4 kids about 4 very different subject matters. And it's a place for them to talk about whatever and whoever. And the fact that I get to experience that, I'm so grateful for, right? And again, I'm so grateful for the way that everybody has showed up and stepped up for one another, including me. Like how they've helped and supported me in this moment. And at one point, one of my sons said this, because I was just like, there's no consequence. Like he just gets to pick up and leave. Go be single. What he wanted all along. No responsibilities, no cares but himself. He only wanted to pay for himself. Like he's getting everything he wanted. And what's the consequence? Like I'm like, what's the punishment? Why am I getting punished over here having to do everything? And he said it perfectly. He goes, the consequence is he's going to lose his family. And I don't know if that's a consequence for him or not. This is his life, his journey. There's no, obligations to his kids. I do believe he loves them. I don't ever doubt that. I do believe in his heart he loves them so much. And so, yeah, I guess that is the consequence. And a potential consequence. I'm not saying that's going to happen or is happening. And it has happened with some people, and it doesn't mean it's not going to change or whatever. And so I need to really establish these boundaries with myself, is what I'm realizing, is that I'm allowing myself to waste my time and energy worrying about him, like what he is doing or not doing for his kids. And again, I've said it on here before, I don't want to, and I don't, it's not my intention. And as each day ebbs and flows or roller coasters around, different things come up and different things get processed and different things get broken down in my mind. And I get to ask myself, what aligns with me today? And how do I be the best mom I can be and support these kids and honor who I am? And I need to figure that out. And so, I'm sitting here and I sat down, and it took me a few minutes to record. And then one kid wanted to talk to me, so I left the room for a solid 45 minutes, and I came back and I almost was like, I got that arsenal of leftovers, back already pre-filmed things. Like if I miss one more day, it's not a big deal. But I was saying, no, it's important for me to sit down here, and it's important for me to keep this consistency, because it's important for me to show you and to show me that it's okay to feel broken down and blindsided. And in a way, as much as I don't want to admit it, my heart is broken. Like none of this was anything I was prepared for, and none of it was anything I really expected. And again, that's on me. He was clear. But he was, he was clear. He was the boy that cried wolf, and he finally left, and he did it. And there's a part of me that, again, when he's posting his stuff and somebody will tell me about it, I hear about it through the grapevine, and he's happy, I'm like, well, then on one aspect, isn't that everything I sit down here and say is like, go live a life that you're proud of. Go live a life that makes you happy. And maybe his idea of what makes him proud and what makes him happy is very different than mine. I shouldn't be shocked. That's been the whole problem all along, right? Like we're two very different people and two very different perspectives. And I'm sure he sleeps well at night. I'm sure of it. I mean, he was asleep last night while we were freezing to death. we had like icicles forming off our bodies. No, it wasn't that cold. But yeah, I mean, this was, there was no lost sleep over the fact that we were, frozen in here. There was no apologies or care or anything like that to any of us. And, or recognition of, the impact of him cutting us off in the middle of the evening of having any access to our heater and not letting us know, and then not responding. And the thing is, I think for me, I again go back to, I need to establish the boundary with myself. I need to establish the boundary that like his choices are his. They're not a reflection of me. And it doesn't mean I'm not a good person, or I wasn't worthy of being a friend, or my kids aren't worthy of having a dad that's able to split and still be there for them. It doesn't mean anything. It's all a reflection of him. And if I just release that and let it go and just let him be him, and create this space and time where we are no longer attached. And maybe he already did this disattachment, and maybe it's a lot easier for him because he's now attaching to somebody else, right? And and I had somebody ask me, like, who is your guy? I'm like, my guy? I'm like, guide? What is a guide? And they're like, no, guy. I'm like, what do you mean, guy? I don't have a guy. I literally don't even have a second to think about anything. I need to heal. There's no guy. My priority is my kids, survival, healing, and really just embracing and enjoying this peace and freedom that I am gaining. And I don't have a space and time to all of a sudden incorporate somebody new. I am broken still. My heart is broken. My spirit is crushed. I have no desire to attract somebody in this state of mind. This is not where I want to be. This is not my proudest moment. Now, yes, I am very proud. I am resilient. I am empowered. I am creative. I'm trying to figure out ways to make a penny turn into $1,000,000. Like, I am doing whatever I can to be here for my kids, and I'm doing whatever I can to make sure this ship doesn't sink. And I will do that. I will do that till my everlast breath. And most important, beyond the finances, beyond all that, is I'm here with them, like getting to have these conversations and support them and check in, like, how are you doing, like, everything okay, like, I know this is hard, and seeing one another support and hearing the laughter in the house. That's priceless. You can't put money on that. And so, yeah, I think my son said it best. The consequence is he's probably going to lose his family. And I've warned him. I've said, if you behave this way, then you're going to lose them. And hopefully that doesn't come into fruition. And so I was sitting here today, and again, I just suddenly felt drawn, and I picked up this rock. And I think that this rock, my love rock that came from my Auntie Betty, and was given, my Uncle Jerry made sure it was given to me, is such a reminder. And I just needed to like hold it on my chest today, that like it's a reminder to love myself. That, yeah, like, and I have to like sit here and think, like, okay, like, some really amazing women have been, had, in public lights and non-public lights, have had similar situations as mine. They have been, betrayed in some way, in the sense, and, it's 25 years. It's like a quarter of a century. It's so long, and it's so intertwined. And again, like, I have these trauma bonds to people. Like, all I know is, from my past life, is these broken relationships, and with my dad, and with, Chris, and this is what I know. And so I also know that this is not healthy. And then I get scared, and I'm like, but maybe this is all there is. Maybe this is what love is. And I have to sit there, and I see this stone, and I have to believe that it's not. I mean, this stone is smooth, and it's soft, and it's beautiful. And I have to believe that true love, and it's a little bit broken here, like, it's not perfect, it's imperfect here, but I have to believe that true love is just like this stone. And I think it's very forgiving, and I think it's loving, and I have to believe that somewhere, some way, that all this is happening for me. I really truly do believe it. I believe it's all happening for my kids. I really truly believe that. And I think that each day that we're in peace, and we don't have to hear arguing and hostility, we all a sigh of relief. The laughter has returned. The good spirit in the house has returned. And I wouldn't trade that for the world. I remember once my son was a sophomore in college, and there had been a mistake, and they were supposed to be 4 people in their apartment, but there was only 3. And so he called and he's like, oh my gosh, only 3 of us are in, the 4th one didn't get in. But maybe it's a good idea. He does these things, like does a lot of things that gets on my nerves and doesn't line. And the other 2 were twins, so they're sharing a room. And I was like, well, you understand you're going to be sharing a room with them. And he's like, really? And I was like, well, yeah, of course. I think the 2 brothers are most likely going to share a room, and you're going to share a room with him. And I said, I know at this moment your rent is going to cost you a little bit more because you're 3 and you're having a single room instead of a double room. I said, so I can call and figure it out with housing and get you into an apartment that the 4 of you guys can be in. And you'll save a little bit of money. And I want to say it was like somewhere between $1,000 and $3,000. I can't remember. And I said, or you leave it as it is and you pay a little bit money, but you have your peace. And he goes, well, what would you do, Mom? I said, I'm not a really good person to ask this because, and even at this time, I hadn't done any of my work. I had my path of the journey was just whatever had happened. There was no plans. There was no actions, just whatever had happened. And I just said, Brad, to me at this point in stage of my life, like my peace is worth that amount of money. And so I have to remind myself that, like, every bill that comes out, everything I do, my peace is worth this. My kids' peace is worth this. And I'd rather them know now where they stand in their dad's eyes than later. Some of the kids are like, I wish this happened 20 years ago. I wish this happened 10 years ago. Like, and we can't go back in time. I can't undo what's been done. However, I can show it better for them. And, I really, really work hard at being the better person. I work really hard to do that. And so when I get fixated, when something comes up, like we can't use our heater and it just sets me off, I really just need to remember where my personal boundaries are, because that's where the tailspin comes in. And it's like, and I don't even have heat, and you're over here in your warm house, and you got your girlfriend, and you got your this things, and I start tailspinning. And it's not healthy for me, and it's not healthy for the relationship that we may have as a friend or anything. I'm not even sure at this point if that's a reasonable request, but I just want peace. And so I think the biggest battle I'm facing right now is to fight or to not. And where is it I want to put my energy? And it's such a tough decision when I'm playing ball with somebody who wants to hurt me and I don't want to hurt him. And so here is the divide, right? Like, he wants to punish me and does anything he can to leave us in a destitute state, while I still want to protect him, and I still worry, and I still care, and I still worry and care about the relationships he has with his kids. And that's not his fault that I do that. That's on me. But that's who I am. If it's Chris, if it's a stranger, if it's somebody else, and I heard this, I would worry. I feel bad. I'm like, you need things? What do you want? Like, can I give you stuff? Like, here's some plums, take some hangers. Like, do you need more hangers? Do you need more stuff? And I don't understand where this generosity and wanting to care for him comes when there's nothing coming back. But again, like I say, it's a reflection of the way the relationship has been all along. This is what it is. And so again, it's that reminder, if somebody shows you who they are, believe them. And I think that that's the lesson for today for me, is to do that, and is also to understand that this is a process, and there's going to be some high days, and there's going to be some high moments within a day, and then there's going to be some challenging ones, and I'm going to get angry, because angry is one of my default settings. Like, it's easy to access for me. I'm crying, I'm laughing, I'm relieved. I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I do not need to deal with that part of him anymore. Like, yes, I don't have to look at those things that I don't want to. And so I say all this to say, I don't want this to just become this session of, here I am. But I do believe that this story of mine, even if you're not experience a relationship demise, even if it's a job or a different kind of relationship with a parent or a sibling or a friend and uncle and aunt, somebody else, I do believe there's merit. I do believe it's the same thing. I do believe it's a grieving process. I do believe it's really hard. And I do believe that at times there are people, especially like in a divorce, oftentimes the woman, and I'm not trying to be like, anything, because again, I'm a product of divorce. My parents were divorced and I was raised by my dad. So I understand very, very, very close to my heart that, men also are the people sometimes who are left behind. And I think it's really hard to be the ones who are still in the same house, who still have the same environment, who still have all these things, and you're kind of left behind. And I think that for me, it brings up a lot because, like when my mom left, it was like we were still here and you just weren't anymore. And I think that this is very familiar, like in an uncomfortable way to that situation. It's like you're left, we're waiting. Are you going to call? Are you going to be nice? Or we're not going to show up? Is this maybe a joke? And you change your mind. You want to come home. And it's the holidays, right? Like tomorrow is Thanksgiving. And to, how I know Halloween was technically the first holiday, but to have this holiday where we sit and gather around the table and that's going to have an obvious missing person in the room, it's got to be difficult. And again, I sit there and I go to, originally my plan was like, hey, we'll all have it together. I'll invite them over. However, not all my kids are comfortable with that. And quite honestly, I just don't think that that's probably the best thing to do at this time for myself. And I would sacrifice that if the kids had asked or wanted it, but nobody seems to have any say in that. Like, they're fine. I mean, at the end of the day, he's got a kitchen, he's got access to supermarkets. He could cook a turkey and invite his kids over. And he chooses not, right? Like, that's okay. You don't have to. But it's not my responsibility anymore to save him. Like, as he said, I'm not responsible for worrying for him anymore. And yes, it is a bad habit of mine that I have continued on, that I need to really work on figuring out a way to stop worrying. But it doesn't happen overnight. Just as all of these things are not going to get solved and resolved over a week span. It's not like your heart breaks and it's going to heal and all this stuff. It takes time. And so we're in that it takes time era. And I'm so sorry that I don't come in here with my full energy and have my full spirit. I want to. I believe me, I really want to. I miss that girl. She's so much fun. And life was so freaking easy, even though it wasn't easy. And I'm getting closer. And I'm so grateful for the work she did, because the work that she did has made it possible for me to even just show up and breathe and get out of bed. And so I'm really, really, really grateful for every version of me that has allowed me to come into this day and this place and show up the way I am. And so it's taken me a minute. It's been, nearly a month, and this is the craziest time of year for me. The birthday shenanigans begin on Sunday, and it's going to be me doing all the decorating, all the cooking, the cleaning, the going out to dinner, the whatever it is he decides to do. Again, it's all on me. There's nobody to help wrap presents with, and nobody, I always shopped for all the gifts, but no, so it's gonna look very different, but yet similar, the same, and it's just gonna be different, and I have to accept that. And I know that even though there are tough times, I know that there is empowerment, there is resilience, and there is growth happening. And that's part of the glow up method, right? It's not about it happening overnight. It's those small steps forward. And sometimes it's 2 steps forward and 1 step back, but you just keep moving. You keep moving and you keep moving. And then suddenly you're this person I was a month ago that was just beaming and loving life. And so I am so grateful that you're here today. You are not alone. I am not alone. We are in this together and we will get through this together. And I want us to celebrate every little triumphant thing. This is a celebration thing. Just sitting down, doing my recording, this is a triumphant thing. I posted my video today, triumphant. I went to the gym and I did my best. When I want to stand there and cry, I did it. And I screamed and I yelled my hey heys so loud to just get out what was in my mind. I cried, I laughed, I screamed, I lived it all. I had conversations. I forced myself to eat when I wasn't hungry. Like, I went to the doctors and found out I might need a back surgery. Like, I scheduled an appointment. I took Chris off my authorized users so he can no longer be the beneficiary of my perfectly beautiful credit score. And I know that's a little thing, but I was like, he is so eager to delete me off things. I don't know why I'm sitting here giving him the good graces of my kindness. And so I'm not trying to be mean, but I'm like, he has no business using my credit cards anymore. So bye, you're off of them. And so I did do a lot with the midst of today. I applied for a job. I am figuring it out, and I'm going to be okay. And I will roll into this next era of Natasha so much braver, stronger, resilient, and more amazing than I even knew was possible. And so thank you for being a part of this journey and being here with me. And I promise you it will get better and I will be back to my regular full energy vibes. So thank you so much. But if you can please go out there today, give somebody a big smile, give them a compliment, and just watch how they glow up. So thank you. Bye. Where's my clicker? I don't know. I'm gonna go this old school way.